Welcome, everybody, to Beyond the Booth. He's Phil Harris. I'm Randall Cunningham. In the middle, he looks like a baseball player, named after a soccer player, but he's a basketball player. Beckham McKendrick from Sequatchie County High School. Welcome in, buddy.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You know, we were talking beforehand, and it's kind of been of a journey to get where you're at. But as you finished up your senior year, kind of a bittersweet process for you, I'm sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely was. You know, I loved my junior year just because I knew that I had one more year. Like it was kind of like a cushion year, and then my senior year, like as it winded down, it just every game just kind of got a little bit more emotional as I went.
You know, I'll ask you a couple questions and I'll turn it over to Phil here. But, you know, Sequatchie County and Signal Mountain and Chattanooga area all together, you know, I don't know that we have a huge basketball following or a big youth movement in basketball.
Mhm.
What attracted you originally to basketball?
Um, like as a kid,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I started dribbling a basketball when I was like 4. I would watch my dad play at a young age. We used to live in Texas and Colorado, so I would watch him play. I'd watch him dunk it. Um, some of those memories come back a little bit. He used to play in a league, and I used to have a Steve Nash jersey. So, I mean, I've been around basketball for a long time, and so I've tried other sports and soccer and all that, and I loved it. But just being around basketball just made me the happiest. I love having the ball in my hands. I love the feeling of putting it through the net. So it's just kind of I just knew it was my thing.
You know, and Coach, I got to talk a little bit about Coach Hobbs, or caught a little bit to Coach Hobbs coming into this interview. What made you fit that offense so well?
So when I came in, um, I was a little shy. So coming in, I kind of was just trying to figure it out. And about halfway through last season, I was like, you know what, like I gotta turn it up. So last year we run the Princeton offense, which is a lot of back doors and all that. I would say I would say what fit well with my game and the game that we played as a team was, um, I have to figure out intuitively how to score because I'm not super athletic or I can't get to where I want to go as fast as other people can. So I think what was great about it was the back doors, the ball screens. I'm not, the smartest player, but I can intuitively figure out like where to go off a ball screen or like when I need a back door or when I need to take that first quick step. And that the offense last year really allowed me to do that. And same this year, we ran the dribble drive offense for a little while this year, and then we kind of went back to half court plays, but just being able to read where I need to go or where I need to be. I've always been pretty decent at that, so that's why I was always able to kind of score, under the basket.
You know, Phil, I'll come to you after this question. Having finished your senior year, Beckham, here's the struggle of the portal, and here's the struggle of recruiting in 2025. You had a great senior year, and 20 years ago, you had automatically had offers, and you've been kind of weeding through them, and you do have an offer now, but
Mhm.
really the portal and all the college players that exist that move, it makes it really hard on you high school seniors to find a place and to end up at a place because you're expected to move too in a lot of cases. I
Mhm.
tell you the number of the players I've talked to that says, well, I'm signing at XYZ college.
Mhm.
I plan on transferring out after 18 months.
Mhm.
Is that the world in 2025?
Yeah, so I talked to Coach Hobbs about this, and I was really looking forward to this upcoming year after the season because I was like, okay, like I think some stuff's gonna come in. I think I mean, obviously I knew that it'd still be really hard, but I did. I was expecting some stuff, and when it didn't really come, I was kind of just Coach Hobson and I talked about it. We were like, he talked to me about the transfer portal and how some of the players they transfer, and so these teams will be, they'll be looking for a transfer student who maybe has a year or two of experience over some white not really athletic high school basketball player who plays in 2A. So they'll be looking for guys with more experience, and so that really just drops everybody down a level. And so if, let's say, I'm looking for like a D2 offer, like that'll just it just keeps bumping down, bumps down. It's like a ricochet effect.
And right now, you've kind of ended up at the NAIA level where you have your offers at now and most of your
Hmm.
recruitment,
Hmm.
which is a great level.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to play NCAA, you kind of have a path to follow.
Yes. Yeah. I would say, yeah, the most looks are at NAI, but even NAI, it's really hard because even the transfer portal kind of affects them because even D2, some NAI will transfer up or some D2 will transfer down, so it's really a hard process.
Yep, yep. Phil, take it over and let's get to know Mr. Beckham because you know what? When I get a coach that says he has affected my school, being Sequatchie County, more than any player in recent history, that's a big compliment. So, Beckham, I just want to give you the roses while we got you here. That's a huge compliment from Coach Hobbs.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I really take kindly to that. I love Coach Hobbs as a person and a coach. He's been a great role model to me.
Philip, take us away.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Oftentimes, Coach, and we're talking about Coach Hobbs, since y'all had kind of discussed that. Beckham, what does he mean to you? Does sometimes a coach like that become your second dad?
Yes, and you know, um, most definitely. Obviously I have my dad, but Coach Hobbs has really become family to me because I know that he cares off the court as well. I know that he would take any measure, for me if I was struggling or if I needed something. Like I know, like he's the person that I go to no matter what. Like if if I need something, I go to him, and he knows that too. Like I mean, he really is like a second dad. So most definitely.
That's a huge
What
compliment.
are Yeah, what are some of the things that he kind of sort of stays on you about to improve your game?
One thing, I mean, like, are you talking about like throughout the season or like even now?
Yeah, well, just what are some of the things he constantly pushes you to work on to be a better basketball player?
So he always pushes me to not gamble on defense, and to play really good defense because I would gamble a lot, well, a decent amount, and so he would always push me to be like, don't gamble on that pass or you need to play better defense because he expects that from me because, um, I have a lot of experience, playing, and so I would say defense and there's one other. The biggest thing was probably um, just bad turnovers, like throwing away a pass or I wouldn't really get the ball, taken from me for a layup, but just like if it was a bad pass or just a bad play, because that would happen to me every couple minutes. He was just like he would take me out for a second. He'd talk to me. He'd be like, "You like that can't happen. If you want to play college basketball, that can't happen." So I would say just stupid turnovers and staying my ground on defense.
When you had talked about, you're not the fastest player on the court, but I think what you was kind of describing yourself is you have great court awareness.
Yeah. So I kind of look to the NBA for that kind of stuff, and I look at the players who aren't like who are small and like aren't very athletic, and I kind of look at what they do, and so I had to really figure out how to how to score and how to get around these players because I really like I have great endurance, but I'm not fast at all. So like crafty finishing or footwork is a big part of it. And so you really have to implement that kind of stuff, and that's how you can kind of use that to your advantage.
Well, you had talked about some folks that's kind of taking a look at you, and I know you had talked about Bryan College. Are there any schools that kind of sort of talk to you that kind of have you on the back burner that are kind of saying, well, if this happens, are there some schools still interested enough to where you're kind of on their back burner?
Um, I mean, it's hard to say because coaches nowadays they're very like they really won't like really express themselves. They seem to be a lot more complicated these days. Like I do have a couple coaches that I've reached out to and they're like, we want you to like Union University wants me to go and play with their guys and they want to evaluate me in front of their guys. However, I haven't heard from the coach in, a couple weeks. So I mean, and even like some NAI, like there's some NAI who will ask like for my stats or my numbers, and I can tell that they're a little interested, or they'll ask for my transcripts. But I haven't really heard since. So I mean, possibly, but you never really know with coaches these days.
Well, I know you talked about this, and while I've got you here, grades. How are your grades? Naturally playing at the next level of what you're looking at, grades are very important because sometimes academic money is going to get you in the door.
Yeah, so I did apply for some academic scholarships at Bryan. My GPA is like a 3.85 at the least. I haven't measured it since my last three classes came in, but it's at least a 3.85, and my ACT is a 22. So
Yeah, well,
that, that if you took Phil and I together and combined us, we wouldn't be at a 3.85 and a 22. So we weren't great students. So that sounds so impressive to us.
no, I mean, freshman sophomore year at Signal. I mean, that's not very hard to get too many good grades there. And then I was online after that. So I mean, I do have my associate's degree though. That's probably the proudest thing. That's what I'm most proud of probably from my high school career.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. Because every bit helps. Naturally.
Mhm.
I want to ask you this: in your basketball playing days, did you have a real memorable moment that was positive?
Yeah, for sure. Um, there were a couple. A real memorable moment was we played our rival Bledsoe County last year, and we ended up beating them in overtime. However, we ended up being down by like two with like 10 seconds to go, and I got the ball and I made a layup on the left side with like point 0.5 seconds left and time ran out, and uh, I wasn't gonna celebrate because I was just like, whatever, we're going into overtime. But I looked behind me, and Lamont, who he played for us last year, he shows no emotion ever. Like if he makes an one, he will not show any emotion. He was screaming and jumping up and down, and so that just showed me that he really cared in that moment. And so that was a really memorable moment because I was just like, okay, I got somebody who doesn't show emotion, who's screaming and going up and down. So I was like really excited after that. It was really memorable for me.
What about a game that just kind of broke your heart?
A game. I mean, there have been multiple games that broke my heart. I would say the game that broke my heart. Probably two. So last year we played Bledsoe at Bledsoe, and we had them beat. We were up by like four with like 35 seconds left, and we just made some bad plays, and they ended up winning. And I ended up like airballing a layup, and so that was really heartbreaking for me because I was just right there. And then this year, a real heartbreaker for me was the last game. It was Marion. I feel like we had them beat, and I feel like we were really the better team, and we didn't show up. We were kind of scared. So we ended up losing by 6 in the playing game.
Yeah, that's tough way to end the season because you'll always remember that last game, and that makes it kind of tough.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this about you spoke about your parents. How important have they been for you in your development off the court as well as on the court?
Um, they've been crucial in my academic development for sure. I mean, they help pay for my online program to get me ahead for college. They've helped pay for all these things throughout my life. that would help me academically, where it would get me ahead, and they didn't have to do that. Um, in other instances, I mean, they've helped me to develop into a man. They can be very hard sometimes, but they're trying to turn me into a man. They don't want me to be soft when I'm older, and I totally get that. And even though we don't agree all the time, at the end of the day, they're still my parents, and they're just trying to make me a better person and become a man. And then on the basketball court, my dad, for a long time, helped me, as I went up, um, to, really develop into a basketball player. Um, so he's helped me for a while in that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and parents are always in, it's definitely, that's a huge thing, when you're bringing up, and grades are so important.
Mhm.
When it comes to that, because, if you don't make it academically, you're not going to make it athletically, because a lot of times schools are kind of, if, nowadays, and you've talked about it with the NIL, if you don't have the grades, then they're probably not even going to take a chance at you at all.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's definitely the way it's gotten to be. Well, tell me
Mhm.
this: if you get to the next level, and let's end up at Brian, and what are some of your individual goals as a basketball player uh, you will set for yourself?
Um, when I get, I'm really hoping to, somehow play at the next level. Some individual goals that I'll have, for sure, are to get bigger. Like that's the first big thing. Probably like 20 pounds. Like
Wow.
after my freshman year, I'll probably hope to be like 200 pounds. I'm like 175 now. Um, Outside of that, I really don't know what my freshman year will look like, but it will really just be, no matter what happens, to be the hardest worker at practice. And even though I'll be a freshman, I want to be the vocal person on the team, because I feel like at the NAI level, I can still be, the person who's the most vocal on the practice court. So as long as I know that I work the hardest on the court and I'm the most vocal, um, then there's nothing much more I can do, and we'll see what happens after that. But those are my biggest goals: to be most vocal, to be really in shape, gain some weight, and then from there, I think that I can really develop my game.
Well, at the next level, do you see yourself being as a point guard or maybe a shooting guard?
Well, that's a question, because I always saw myself as a shooting guard, um, but these last 2 years I've had to play a lot of point guard, and so I mean I do dribbling drills. I still try to do dribbling drills every day. And this year I kind of really developed into a point guard. It's just hard to score when you're a point guard sometimes. But um, I would say mostly shooting guard. But Brian did tell me that they would have me playing some point guard when I got, um, to get some playing minutes eventually. So I guess both.
Yeah,
Did
more likely. But yeah.
a quick question, Phil? Did Sam getting injured during football change your guard rotation this year so that you couldn't play as much too as you did but previous? Sam Evans, of course.
Sam, not necessarily. Um, Sam, when Sam got injured, it was, I was like, I was upset about it, because Sam's like the team leader on defense. Like he really was vocal on defense, and it really helped us. He When he got injured, it definitely switched some things, and so I would say not really, but it definitely shifted my role a little bit on the team. But I ended up running the one, just because you know, we kind of needed it, and we needed some dribbling, and we had our point guard Austin Griffith, who also ran it. He was great at it, but you need two. After him, we didn't really have too many experienced guys in that station. So
Sorry, Phil. I just wanted to get that question in.
Oh, that's fine. That is fine. Well, Beckham, answer me this question. If you don't have basketball, naturally you're going to go to school at the next level. What are your goals outside of basketball? What kind of career are you looking at, or what are some of your interests?
statistics. So I toured Brian, and they were. Told them that I wanted to. Well, I was thinking about engineering, And so I looked into their engineering program, and I was like, this is not for me. So I had statistics and engineering as my top two, that they were interchangeable. And so I'm really looking into statistics. I've been talking to a lot of people. Um, I took statistics as a sophomore at Signal, and I really liked it. And I really like, you know, crunching numbers and you know, figuring out samples and populations, and that's really kind of my thing. So I wanna be a statistics major, maybe like an actuary or just some type of statistician in general. My goals just to have a sustainable job, to have a sustainable job outside, like right when I leave college. You know, be a great man, not to be soft, and you know, 'cause a lot of people go into the world and they just kind of think that it's going to be easy, but I just want to be ready for it.
Well, I think that's good. Statistics is a good thing, Beckham, because I mean, even the company I work for, being an analyst, many companies, especially corporations, are always looking for analysts, and just people that can decipher information. And you don't see that very often. Those jobs are wide open everywhere, and a lot of those positions are filled.
Yeah, people always ask like, how AI will affect it and all that, but I've been talking to some people, and definitely are human elements. It depends on what job you have, but yeah, I mean, there are definitely a lot of jobs that are wide open in that field. I just got to figure out which ones will stay when AI, gets better the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, well, that sounds like good. Well, Randy, I'll turn it over to you and let you ask a few questions now.
Economics is a good major
Hmm.
a mathematics and an economics degree. We just
Hmm.
throw that in there too. So, uh, I love stats too. Hey, I want to ask you about a couple of players that you played against. You were lucky to have an area that really there's some good guard play, but a couple that come to my mind, of course, already talked about playing Marion County, where you saw Hilton Pickett, who is somebody I think has a very similar game as to yourself.
Yeah, so Til- playing Tilton was fun. The biggest thing between me and Tilton is I he likes to shoot a lot more than I do. He can shoot the three pretty well. He doesn't drive as much, and um, but yeah, playing against him was fun. I think the second time we played him, he was like 8 of 17 from three or something crazy like that. And so, yeah, Sam Everett told that to me one time, and it's like, yeah, you and Tilton are pretty similar. And I kind of took offense to that because, like, as a basketball player, I'm just competitive, and I'm like, oh no. But yeah, there definitely are some similarities. He's a great kid. I talked to him a little bit. I love his dad. So it was fun playing against him.
Let's talk about up the hill a little bit up in Grundy County. Someone that I think is not as similar as you, but has same kind of game maybe in some areas. Is have you played against Sam Parsons?
Yeah, so I played against him twice last year and once this year because he was injured. I think the first game we played him. Last year they came in here and they blew us out at home, and then we went there and we were down by like five with like a minute to go, and then I think they ended up winning by like eight or something, and last year when I saw him, like everybody was like, "Oh, he's like one of the best kids you'll see play," and I was like, he was really good. And then this year, he really turns it up. He really surprised me. He was making everything. He's a great player. I talked to him after. Um, their coach put him smack on me. So no, he's a tough player to play against. I did not have a great game. Their coach had a good game plan. There were some doubles on screens and stuff for me, unfortunately. So, but it was okay.
But it's nice to play in an area, and it's just not those two. There's nice players at Bledsoe. There's nice players everywhere in your region. While it may not be the most media wise talked about region, just being outside of Chattanooga and outside the mainstream, it's a very competitive region and area. Um,
Mhm.
has that brought to you over the last 2 years playing in that region?
Yeah, so um, coming into it, you know, when I look at some of these teams, some of these county schools, like I'm like, okay, like they're kind of like a basketball second school, like they sort of care, sort of don't.
Yeah,
But as I've kind of as I've kind of come to play in it more, I can like they play well together, and they're very even though it may not be their first sport, and they're very smart in how they play, and so like when we play like Bledsoe County or like Marion County, they just were very smart with their shot takes, and you know some people might look at the district and be like, oh, the bottom half is terrible, but when you play them, they play very smart basketball. Even though they're not the most talented, they're smart at what they do. They take the like the best shots that they can. So I give my hats off to them for that.
they've always been a core like yourself. You talked about Lamont Kelly, a former football player, and
Mhm.
Sam football players, but they're also at Sequatchie always been almost specialist that just wanted to play basketball, kind of like yourself. So
Mhm.
it you have people playing basketball all year round, but you also have some coming over from football, which can make interesting mix
Mhm.
according to how long the
Mhm.
football team plays, and then all of a sudden you might have an influx of 5 players.
Yeah, we had a lot of football guys come in after like 5 or 6 games of the season. Like we had just played like two state 4A teams before they came in. Um, it was not great games for us, but yeah, they came in. It was a lot different. There was a little bit of tension. Everybody loved each other, of course. There was a little bit of tension just because like you had the football guys, who football's obviously their main sport, and then you got like the basketball guy, basketball slash baseball, and so very different like when it comes to like how they play. And so at first it was a little interesting to kind of mesh together, and we did, but I think that may have been why we came up short in the playing game. We couldn't really find a way to coexist together. It was kind of hard for us. Um, and so we had some great football players that played minutes for us, and they were great. I'm glad that we had them. And but yeah, it was great to play with them, and I'm sorry to have to go, but
Yeah. Well, it's kind of Coach Hobbs. Every year he has to kind of create two teams, one he has year around and then one he gets. So it's definitely his challenge. Hey, before we get off the subject and while we're thinking about it, and been talking about it, Sequatchie County going there and as you're taking online schools, what's your associate degree in? Is it just general education or do you?
yeah, it's just general education. So when I go to college, I'll have to get right on my minor, my master's. So I'll have to get straight to work on non-generals. So.
Yeah, yeah, you got a chance to leave with a master's in 4 years, really.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
uh, what was it like when you moved to Sequatchie County and getting used to being on the basketball team for you? Was that a hard move?
Yeah, coming from Signal, um, it was it was really hard at first. So we had moved across the county line, just like we're just like 5 minutes across the county line, and we were paying extra money to go to Signal, and my the summer of my junior year, a little bit before that, I was just like, there's no point in paying to go to Signal. And I wanted to change. I didn't want to go to public school anymore. I wanted to go online, get my associate's degree. I wanted to play for a new school. I wanted a new start. Um, the way things were going with the basketball program with Signal, I didn't like the direction it was going. And so I was like, I'm going to give Sequatchie County a try because I remember playing them at Signal. They were great guys. I knew that they had great spirit, similar morals, and so when I went down there. I was super nervous, but I really meshed well with the guys. Um, I really love all of them, and I think that they would say the same about me. It was very scary at first, but within a couple months, I was like, oh, this is, I'd much rather play here.
Phil, I'm going to let you take over, but again, the reason Beckham's here, it was kind of I wanted to have him on. I didn't really want to bother him during the year, but at the end of the year, Coach Hobbs and I started talking about Beckham, and for a young man to have his coach to speak as highly as he does of Beckham, you know the quality in that young man. So I don't think we can overlook that. Phil, you're always so good at asking those questions. I'm going to let you have it for just a minute.
All right, we'll do that. I want to ask you this, Beckham. I know you've played the point and you play shooting guard, and naturally your instinct is to score. But sometimes you get more thrill out of making a great pass than you do a great shot.
Yes, for sure. There were multiple times where it was like that. I'm not exactly like I'm not flashy when I pass it, or I'm not like super like an amazing passer, but there were some times where, like I would say, one highlight that I had was South Pitt. Um, we were down by, I think we were down by 3 with like a minute to go, and I wasn't shooting great that game, and I was going up for a reverse layup, and I changed my mind, and in midair, I decided to pass it to Colton, who was wide open for a 3, and he made it to tie the game with like a minute to go, and so it was plays like that where I was like, man, like these are the plays that they really mean something. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, because not only do you feel good for yourself, you feel good for the player that knocked down the jumper. Kind of a double adrenaline shot.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that they've worked hard too. Colton Cribbs, he shot a lot of threes this year for us, and I know that he practiced them a lot, so he deserved it.
Yeah, because definitely so. I mean, because naturally, as a basketball player, you like to, you want to score naturally, but you like to see the guys around you have great success because you can see it in their eyes.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, I want to ask you this, Coach Hobbs, what are some of the things, and you talked about maybe sometimes it's hard for basketball teams to gel because a lot of coaches only want basketball players. I mean, that happens. But then some schools have a blend. What are some of the things he does in practice to make things competitive to try to get you guys to jail?
He would do these like so he would do a lot of so like we would push on offense a lot. So we would do a lot of transition drills. So a lot of transition drills, a lot of 3-on-2 drills, just drills to kind of get us in the flow, just to quickly just put us together as a team. Like you make a good pass, or you score 3-on-2, like it's just a great environment, and the guys get together and high five and stuff. On top of that, he would do, what else would he do? He would do like some shell drills where we have to talk, and then he'd have us, play a couple of possessions of half court, and and then seeing it come all together, like he would slowly put things together, and seeing it all come together really gelled us more, because when the football guys came in and they started to see how it worked, then they're like, oh, okay, I see how this works, and then everybody was just like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the things Coach Hobbs did? I know naturally go to basketball games when you ride the bus together and you'll kind of gel that way. What are some of the things he did off the court to kind of get you guys to come together besides those road trips?
So like he would do some events, like there was a Christmas party at his house this year. He does it every year. There's a Christmas party. So I actually couldn't go to the Christmas party this year, but he'll do a Christmas party. We'll all play basketball there. I went last year. We'll play basketball. We'll eat. We'll talk. Have a good time. And aside from that, he'll a couple days ago he sent yesterday he sent the bracket, and he was like, whoever wins gets $15. So he'll just do these things where even after the season, like he tries to get us to kind of bond together with it. So he's very good at that.
A lot of game meals too, right?
Sorry?
The pregame meals, isn't that
Yeah. Yes. So there were some pregame meals. So we would eat, and then we'd go on the bus, and we'd be eating like our chicken and rice on the bus, and he would let us blast like Taylor Swift in the back of the bus, and that was hilarious. And we'd be all dancing to like Miley Cyrus or like Weezer, and I'd be like playing the guitar on the bus. It was sometimes he'd be like after a loss we'd even do that, and he's like shut it off. But most of the time he was just like nah, just let him do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me this. I know Sequatchie County and Randy spoke on this, not necessarily a basketball school, but what does it mean to walk into a gymnasium in a big basketball game and having a great atmosphere with the home crowd on your side?
Yeah, it's very important for me. I feel like I play better when there's more people on both sides. I mean, especially the home side. But when there's more of a crowd, I kind of feed off the energy from the crowd, and so having a good home crowd is always good because then you kind of always have like a 60-40 advantage because you already got a crowd on your side, and so that always really helped me. Like if I make a good basket or a good play or an assist or something, and I kind of hear the crowd, I kind of feed off that energy, and I'm like, okay, we can do this, I can do this. So it was always really important to me for sure.
Well, when you're out playing basketball, naturally the other team knows who the key players are on the team. And of course, naturally they're going to try to intimidate you a little bit. Do you hear a little bit of chatter talk out of the stands?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the county schools know me. Grundy knows me. Marion knows me. Bledsoe knows me. All of them shout my name. They're like, you're terrible. Or you're not a good basketball player. Really, I had a problem with Marion this year. Their stands were crazy. There may have been a couple of B words thrown at me during the game, after the game. We ended up beating them in overtime, and I had one kid come up to me and he's like, "You're a B. We just lost this game because of you." And I was like, "It's like I'm sorry." So yeah, it was kind of fun though.
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, though, that's really, I don't think people don't mean that personally, but it's a in a sense, yeah, they'll use some bad language, but it's about respect.
Yeah, and um, some of the student sections they would kind of be like, "Well, that was a good play. We can't really say anything about that." But no, there was I was fed up with it. I had like an and one, and I went to the student section and I was like, and I pointed to him. I was just like, I was done with it.
Yeah.
Hey,
But
after
this,
Sequatchie County, I'm going to jump in and say, and we none of us like Bledsoe County, but I'll just leave.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's kind of the way it's been for many years. That's kind of a bloodline thing, I believe,
Mhm.
between those two. But yeah, does sometimes, I mean, of course, naturally, does Coach Hobbs have to kind of remind you guys about, keeping your cool because, you can't let those folks get under your skin.
Yeah, all the time. We had some dumb technicals this year. Um, But yeah, he always would remind us. He's like, we gotta show composure. He's like, we gotta be the school where everybody's just like, that's the school who kept their composure, and especially with the refs, he was like, you have to keep your composure for the refs because you're gonna get refs circle around, and he's like, you're gonna get like the same ref like 5 games later, and so if they remember you and they remember your team, and if you have a bad attitude or you lose your composure, they're gonna not give you those 50-50 calls, and so I'd always keep that in mind because I always wanted to the game to be even because if refs don't like if you don't have composure, then they're not going to want to give some calls your way. So
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they'll make you pay for things like that naturally. I mean, it's just kind of sort of human nature. I don't think they're really cheating you. It's just that sometimes they have to show you, who the boss is sometimes because they have to
yeah,
keep control of a basketball game. That's definitely so.
right.
Well, on the court, Beckham, do you consider yourself a trash talker, or do you just kind of let your game speak for itself?
I'll let my game speak for itself. There was I mean, maybe once that I said something, but I don't trash talk just because if we lose the game, that's embarrassing. So I'm not going to trash talk when we might lose the game. And so I always have people come talk to me. They know who I am. They're just like, oh, I cooked you, or you're no good. You stink. You're not better than Sam Parsons. You're terrible. All that stuff. But I'll just I'll try to drop 30 on them, and I'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely so. That's the shutting them up naturally. Well, I want to ask you this, Beckham. What are some of your interests? I know basketball is a big thing to you. What are some of your interests off the court?
Oh man, off the court, I love, you know, I love to learn. I love to learn just in general. I like to learn Spanish. Um, I've been trying to pick that up for a while. I can speak a decent amount. Um, I like to spend time with my girlfriend. I like to spend time with, my sisters, my family. I like to play pickleball actually. Pickleball is kind of a fun side hobby. Um, I love to invest my time in God. I love to learn about Jesus Christ and, you know, his atonement for us. So, lot of studying, some pickleball, some time with friends, girlfriend, you know, um, and then, obviously I love to spend time with Coach Hobbs too. He's a great guy.
Hey,
Yeah.
just
Well,
the this podcast network. Anytime that you say a testimony from the heart like that, it's embraced, and we love hearing it out of a young man like yourself.
Well, I
well,
appreciate it. Yeah.
yeah. I want to ask you this, and I'll turn it back over to Randy. As far as your faith goes, and naturally you're a young man, and and you don't want to be overbearing to people. Do you kind of, as you're walking, kind of try to lead an example?
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out. Can you repeat that?
Uh,
Sorry.
as you walk through life, and you was talking about your faith and whatnot,
Mhm.
do you find yourself a young man like you are, probably not quite as vocal, but do you kind of sort of find yourself leading by example?
Yeah. Coming to Sequatchie County, a lot of eyes on, a signal kid. Um, so I definitely tried to, set an example for what I believe. A lot of kids, um, just, I mean, they believe in Christ, but they're just trying to figure out what they believe exactly. And so I just tried to do my best to show, um, my light and what I have as a kid, and that I'm a little bit different. So I believe in Jesus and I believe in God, and I try to spread His light, and so I just wanted to kind of prove that not every teenager is dumb and just tries to do something stupid or something like that.
Yeah, and you're natural when you're faithful. There's going to be ups and downs naturally, but naturally you want to be a positive influence, and and that's that. And when you do this, as young people are exploring and trying to figure out things, you know, following Christ is a great way to get through life because there's a lot of pitfalls now. You're a high school student. There's a whole lot of distractions out there that can kind of take you away from your focus in life.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I'm no stranger to that. There are a lot of things that even now will take me away. Um, there's a lot of distractions in the world, but I know that if I focus on God and the scriptures, um, and even prayer and Christian music really help me. They bring me closer to Him, and so yeah, there are a lot of distractions, but there are also a lot of things that bring you closer, fairly easily if you just let Him in.
Yeah, definitely so. Follow the Holy Spirit.
Hmm. For
Yeah,
sure.
definitely so. Well, Randy, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you grill
Well,
him the rest of the way. I'm sure there's some other things that you can pull out of him.
look, he was so nice. I hate to embarrass him, but I am. Uh, I love you. I love to spend time with you too, honey. Kirtland, I'm on your mom's phone, so I had to bring that one up. So she gave him a shout out right here on the air. So Beckham, you got it, buddy. You got shouted out.
Oh man, Cartland. Yeah, I love her. I love her to death. Goodness.
Hey,
Yeah.
Beckham, for this show, we always do this, and we just try to get to know you a little bit. And we already talked about it, but if you finish up the show and you go over there to flip on some music, what kind of music we're going to hear in your MP3 player or whatever it is nowadays?
Oh, geez. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna hear some hip hop. You're gonna hear a little bit of that. Um, I really I like pop a lot. I love the weekend. Probably mostly the weekend. You're probably gonna hear a lot of the weekend. Um, when I play basketball or when I'm kind of doing my own thing, I kind of like I kind of like to feel like I'm just like in the middle of nowhere. I like to feel like I'm like in space or something. And so I'll put like I like the weekend because his production is really he's got great production, and so he kind of makes me feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm by myself, and it kind of locks me in. So,
Phil and I just did an interview with Logan Anderson, a linebacker from Fife, Alabama, that's siding with Clemson, and
oh
he
wow,
uh, while he was on his official visit, Dabo Sweeney was playing worship music in the locker room to to motivate players, and there is some of the worship music that can absolutely get your heart thumping.
oh yeah. There are definitely songs and hymns that I listen to um, that definitely do that. I'll listen to. I was at a church camp in the summer, and there's a song that that we were all singing, and it just it was just like it's so much for me. And so yeah, Christian music as well. I'll listen to that. There's some specific songs that really just get me going.
All right. You've got one meal to have. Now, this could be a home cooked meal or a restaurant. What is that go to favorite food?
Oh, definitely home cooked. Um, Probably. I mean, if I'm being honest, like a home cooked burrito, or wait, home cooked chicken curry. It's
Ah,
so yeah, yeah, that's where it's at. So it's like chicken curry, and then you put it on rice. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
nice. Sequatchie County just won a basketball game against an arch rival all at home. Are you going to get you a snack or something after the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna get myself like a I'm gonna get myself like a meal. I'm probably gonna go to like uh I'm probably gonna go to like Sonic, and I'm probably gonna get myself like an ice cream, a Dr. Pepper, maybe like some cheese sticks. But at the same time, if we lose, that's also what I'll get because I kind of get stressed after we lose, and I kind of get down, so I'll like stress eat after. So I'll kind of do both.
Hey, for 12 years, every football game Sequatchie County won, I had to stop at McDonald's and get a milkshake after the game. So I just to know that even the announcer has a had tradition.
Oh my goodness.
When you get to college, or when you see yourself in college, what kind of player do you see yourself at? Well, do you ever imagine that future role?
Like my future basketball role in college.
Yeah.
So if I play at the NAI level, I mean, I guess any level, um, I see myself, you know, each year kind of developing myself into just a vocal leader in general because I really have a hard time. A quiet gym's a losing gym. So if your gym's quiet, you're
Mhm.
not gonna win. You're not gonna win anything. And I was always taught that. And so I see myself being, a vocal leader. Um, I see myself being an example on how to do things and how to, get some this specific drill done for the younger guys. Like as a younger guy, um, as a lower classman playing basketball, I kind of and even a lot of people they just deal with like upperclassmen who just aren't very nice, and as a lower classman you don't really know what you're doing, and the upperclassmen just get frustrated with that. And so I was always like, when I'm an upperclassman, I'm always gonna try to help the guys. I'm always gonna, you know, um, if they ever need me for anything. And I think I had a great relationship with some of the younger guys on our team. I think that they would say the same. I talked to a lot of them. I still talk to some of them. And so whenever they needed me, I was there. I at least tried to be. My goal was for them to come to me whenever they had a question about on the court, off the court, because I knew that they didn't want to get yelled at by like, you know, Coach Hobbs wouldn't yell at them, but um, they didn't want to get in trouble for not paying attention or something.
Phil, if you got any follow up, I got one more. Uh, Beckham, I know you transferred and going to Sequatchie and leaving Signal, which is a very nice school. But going to Sequatchie, you also found nice surroundings. It has a great football stadium, great baseball stadium. And did it give any pride as an athlete to know that you had those kind of facilities at Sequatchie County?
Oh yeah. You know, even even going to Sequatchie County, I felt like there was a lot of pride in everything. Because I think that there's more pride in not even necessarily having nicer facilities or just nicer things. I feel like there's more pride in the people there. I could see a lot of potential in everybody there. And so I mean, not that I didn't have pride in Signal Mountain or any of their kids, but I just had so much pride in Sequatchie County. I love all the kids. There was so much pride in the environment and, the facilities as well. So I was very proud of it.
I have one more question, Phil, before we go off the air, but go ahead if you've got anything to wrap it up.
Well, I want to ask you one thing. What, now that you finish in high school and you're going to move on to the college level, what are you going to miss about high school?
Okay, quite a bit of things. Obviously, I'm gonna miss high school basketball. Um, I'm gonna miss, being coached under Coach Hobbs. I'm gonna miss the team a lot. We we probably won't have much connection because coming down, like obviously I'm friends with all of them, but you know, I wouldn't say that there was anybody where I was like, I became close friends with them. So I'll be sad about losing connections with everybody. Sad that this is probably the easier part of my life, so I'm sad that it's gonna get harder. um, I'm gonna miss not paying for as much stuff, but overall, I'm really excited. But I love the football games. Going to the football games as a high school is very fun.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, Randy, I'll turn it over to you. I just wanted to ask him about that. And I wanted to ask you, Beckham, did you attend a lot of camps up until this year?
No, I started the recruiting process late. I started it like in the summer of last year, and I did it lightly. I really started doing it like right before the season this season. So I plan to attend one or two in the next month or so. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ironically, that leads into my next question. If you run into what advice would you give a young, like middle school or someone wanting to pursue basketball now that you went through the high school process? What advice would you give a young player?
Who wants to play basketball?
Yes.
Um, I would say just keep the work ethic up and show that you're mentally strong and that you can take advice or, if coach critiques you or if other players critique you, you just have to show that you're mentally strong and that you will continue to be mentally strong as you become a man because that's just important these days. There's just a lot of people nowadays that just they can't take coaching and they just have a very hard time with it because they take it very personal. And so it's important that you don't take it personal and that you're not just gonna quit, midway through the season because you're taking it personal and you think that it's unfair. Like it's just important to stay mentally strong and to just, try your best to just be the hardest worker that you can be.
Any words of wisdom or Bible verse or favorite quote you'd like to share with us on the way
Yeah,
out?
yeah. Joshua 24:15. I'm paraphrasing, but I think the last couple lines is, "Choose ye this day whom you will serve, but as for me and my house, I will serve the Lord." Um, so that verse has always stuck out to me because you know I feel like he's saying there, like, I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but he's like, choose who you want to serve. Like you can serve, this person or the devil or but as for me personally, like I know it's true, so I think I'm just gonna serve God. Like I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm gonna serve God. So choose who serve who you want, but I'm gonna serve God. So it just always stuck out to me. I'm just like, yeah, just it's easy as that. Serve God.
Amen. Phil, we've had two great guests on Beyond the Booth the last 2 weeks, and Sheriff Weldon, and then Beckham tonight. It's two people, two different same ages ranges. Same message came through both, and that really touches my heart.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's been a pleasure, Beckham. I've enjoyed getting to know you. I wish you the best. If Brian's where you end up, I hope everything falls into place for you. And you've got a great future ahead of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. He's Phil Harris. I'm Randall Cunningham. Beckham, y'all, it's not too late. If you've got a scholarship out there, if you're looking for a player, if you're looking for an athlete, you're looking somebody to affect your basketball team, go look up this young man. Where can they find your huddle film?
Oh, yeah. It's just under my name, Beckham McKendrick, Sequatchie County.
Go look it up. Good night. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.